It's game day, and I don't know about you, I'm fired the F up. Give me an FLAC down below if you think the Raiders are going to kick some ass tonight on Monday Night Football. We got the 1-0 Chargers against the 1-0 Las Vegas Raiders, and you know what I want? A big-time Raiders victory for head coach Pete Carroll. Happy birthday to Coach. 74 years old. We got something special for you a little bit later on the Raiders Report, but I want to know from the nation. I've given my score prediction before, and I'm going to go ahead and give it again here. Predict the score. Raiders, Chargers. I know the silver and black are dogs in this game, but I like being underdogs at home against the Chargers football team because I feel like the last time this was truly a game where people were talking a lot about the Chargers. I can remember 63-21. Like it was just the other day. I'm not saying it's going to be that high scoring of a game. No, I'll tell you what, I really, truly wouldn't mind it. My week 2 prediction for this one, I'm going to go with the Las Vegas Raiders getting a dub, 31-30 against the Chargers. It's going to be a barn burner. It's going to be a lot of points going up. And if you're somebody sitting back there going, man, do I go more or less on this game? You're always going to go with more when the Raiders are playing in a dome. And if you did not know, we will be live an hour before kickoff. We're going to get a birthday cake. We're going to be singing happy birthday to Pete. And we're going to celebrate the heck out of our 74-year-old head coach because what I really want for my birthday, or at least what I think Pete wants for his birthday, is to be 7-6 against Jim Harbaugh in his career. Because right now, it's 6-6, two very equal head coaches. And when Pete was talking about Harbaugh, he was like, well, he does send me a birthday card every year. We'll see if he sends him a birthday card after the Raiders mollywop the Chargers tonight. So coming up here, I'm going to give you guys some of my expectations for some key Raiders players, honestly, even some key Chargers players as well. And I'm doing it because today's show is sponsored by PrizePicks. So every single thing I'm going to go through here is going to be in regards to more or less in terms of PrizePicks, and I'll talk about our sponsor here in a little bit. The first one I'm going to look at is Ashton Jeanty, 18.5 receiving yards. I'm going to go with the more, and some people might be surprised by that because Jeanty last week had 2 targets for 2 yards. And I am a big believer that this team this week wants to get them in space a little bit more. They want to counterbalance that Chargers defensive line that's going to want to bring a lot of pressure. And because they have a strong defensive front, I want to run through the air a little bit more. I want to get them out in space. I want to get that confidence up because if you do that, that's going to prevent the Chargers from pinning their ears back and coming after Geno Smith. I think it's also going to help overall just open up some of those running games. Running through the air is going to do that because if I got to watch Ashton Jeanty fight and claw for 2.0 yards per carry, and if I got to watch Ashton Jeanty have 44 yards after contact and 38 rushing yards, I'm going to be sick to my flipping stomach. Let's go to the next more or less here, sponsored by PrizePicks. Geno Smith, 257.5 passing and rushing yards combined. This is an easy one to me. I'm going more, and I'm not even sweating about it. Geno is the reason why we will win or lose this football game. Geno can stretch the ball down the field, and last week he had 372 pass and rushing yards combined. 362 through the air, 10 rushing yards on the ground. I know that Geno at one point last week had a little bit of a limp. I think it's just because he knew he was just such a dog out there on the freaking field, and just he was walking around with that pimp walk, and I freaking loved it, man. Mahomes last week, though, he did have 315 passing rushing yards combined. Now, he did a lot more damage on the ground, which Geno's not going to do. Geno can obviously run, but the reason why I'm really fired up about it, I've been talking about Geno indoors all off season. And Geno indoors over the past 3 seasons, by the way, these starts were all on the road, 30 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, a quarterback rating of 110.8. He is truly elite indoors. He's been truly elite indoors his entire career. And seeing what he did last week outside on the road in the rain, dude, can't wait to see what he does this week against the Chargers. So I want to know from all of y'all, how many passing and rushing yards combined for Geno Smith week 2 against the Chargers? I am starting Geno over C.J. Stroud, Chugs, and over Dak Prescott in a fantasy league that I have. I'm really relying on Geno to have a big game. So I want to know from all of y'all, how many passing, how many rushing yards for Geno? My answer coming up here after this YouTube ad break. What kind of fan would I be what kind of person would I be if I didn't expect a big game from Geno? And maybe it's in the name. Give me Geno Smith, 365. Coming up next here, we're going to look at Jacoby Meyers, and it's 57.5 receiving yards. Some of you are going to be like, there's no way he's going to do 3 mores in a row. Oh, yeah, a lot of mores. If you didn't tell, 30 to 31-30, I'm expecting a lot of fireworks at Allegiant Stadium. And Jacoby Meyers, I think, is going to be featured a lot in the practice plan this entire week. And I say that because Bowers has been dealing with that knee injury. Now, I am recording this video a little bit earlier in the week, but I should mention that I was told by a source, this was on Sunday, that when I say Sunday, when the Raiders were playing the Patriots, I was told Sunday that Brock Bowers is expected to play and will play in that game. But week 1, Jacoby, 10 targets, 8 catches, 97 yards. In his last 8 games for the Raiders, Jacoby has surpassed 57.5 receiving yards 7 times. So because he has done that, and because that's what the more or less is on PrizePicks, give me the more, because I think he's going to be a big focal point in this game. Now, before I get into some more of my predictions coming up here on today's show, if you haven't noticed, our sponsor is PrizePicks. And if you plan on watching Monday Night Football, if you plan on hanging out with Jeremy and I tonight, go get your lineups in right flipping now, because this episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. And you and I, we make decisions every day. But on PrizePicks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on PrizePicks, where it's good to be right. PrizePicks is simple to play. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you can cash in and win up to 2,000 times your money. PrizePicks is also the best way to get action on sports in more than 40 states, including California, Texas, Florida, and Georgia. So, what should you do? Download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. I'll also show you guys my lineup at the very end of today's show. That way I don't spoil the rest of this segment for you. So that's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. And I'm hoping I'm right, because at the end of the show, I'm going to tell you all how much money you could potentially win if you roll with my lineup. Let's go to Daniel Carlson, 6.5 points. Now, that is in terms of just overall, like, points in the game. It's not necessarily like fantasy points where if a guy kicks a 50-yard field goal, no, that's not how it works. Field goal is 3, okay? So 2 field goals and an extra point, that's 7 points. Daniel Carlson, 31 points for the Raiders. You guys can do the math there. I am going to go with the more, and it's going to be really, really close, because I am essentially saying that I believe Daniel Carlson is going to be right around 7 points in general. So when I think of Carlson, he's going to be kicking it a lot. And I also know how some of these Chargers and Raiders games have gone, especially at Allegiant Stadium. And Carlson has surpassed 6.5 fantasy points in 4 straight games. I get it. 1 with Pete. 3 with the old regime. I almost think the 3 with the old regime is more impressive. And 5 home games against the Chargers. He is 11-12, 91.6% field goal kicker. 5 home games versus the Chargers. I will say this. One of these games, he had 9 extra points kicked. But 19-19. My point is Daniel shows up big at home against the Chargers, and we need another big-time performance from him. I don't know if it's going to be as electric as the timeout heard around the world from Derek Carr, but I'm hoping it's pretty darn close. Let's go to Keenan Allen now, 51.5 receiving yards. Some of you are going to go, well, Mitch, this is the Raiders report. Why are you talking about a Chargers player? Well, if you go to PrizePicks and you put a lineup in, you can't just do only Raiders players. You also have to put in somebody else from another team. So with that, Keenan Allen, 51.5 receiving yards. I'm going to go more again. And Chugs, when we were reviewing this show, he's like, dude, are these all mores? And so far, yeah, it's all mores. Allen last week saw 10 targets, had 7 grabs for 68 yards. Keenan has averaged 59.0 receiving yards per game against the Raiders in his entire career. I also know that Darnay Holmes stinks, and right now I think our nickel situation is still probably the area of concern that most Raider fans have on defense. Is that a fair statement to make? Like, the defense played well last week against New England. No doubt about it. But to me, I know how much of a safety blanket Keenan Allen is to Justin Herbert. And I do believe he will end up getting more than 51.5 receiving yards. But that's also because I think one of our weaknesses is around that nickel position. Let's go to the final one here. Justin Herbert. 0.5 interceptions. If you haven't gathered what the theme of today's show is, more is more. And I'm going to go more here on Herbert. And this is actually a demon pick, which when you guys see my lineup, you'll see what I'm talking about here. It's something that PrizePicks doesn't think is going to happen. But you know what? I believe in the Raiders. And I believe in this coaching staff. And I think that this team is a lot different. And we're able to force turnovers if we're able to generate pressure. What's interesting, the numbers tell you not to do what I'm doing because Herbert only has 2 interceptions versus the Raiders in 9 career games. But I do think Herbert, when you look at certain coaching staffs and how they scheme for him, if you throw something new at him, you might be able to confuse him. So I thought this stat was interesting. The 2 interceptions that Herbert has, first game against Josh McDaniels, first game against Antonio Pierce. This will be his first game against Pete Carroll, and I'm hoping that trend continues. Also, I know Allegiant Stadium is going to be just rocking and flipping, rolling. 86% Raiders fans, and I hope that you guys pull up. So here is my PrizePicks lineup, and again, download the app today. Use code CLNS, get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. They did invent the flex play, so this is a $5 lineup for me where I can make $60. I could also make $8.75. I could also make $2. But to me, I like a lot of these picks that I'm rolling with. And if you want to roll with me, that link is going to be available down in the comments, down in the description, because like PrizePicks always says, it's good to be right. So I will be live 1 hour before kickoff here. I know there's an earlier Monday Night Football game tonight with the Texans. But to me, I hope the nation is ready. I hope the nation is ready to go. And I hope that y'all are ready to celebrate Pete Carroll's 74th birthday because we're getting a cake. We're going to get some candles, and I hope y'all are ready to make a wish.